I would like to call the Property Management Committee to order. First order of business, approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Do I hear a motion on it?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? If not, all those in favor of approval of minutes, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes. Okay. First order of business is report on the judicial building repairs. And she just walked in, so come on up.
I guess I'll leave
Good
that
evening.
on here. Hello. How are you?
Fine.
Fabulous. I don't have any spiffy little handouts today. All right.
It's an update on how it's going.
All right. Things are going fabulously well. I gave the requests from the last meeting to Mr. Mencken, quite frankly. Gave them to him today because it wasn't on my radar between there, working on the budget. But he's working very diligently on those. Found out an interesting glitch in the system. I don't have access to their work order system, so we're going to work with OIT on that to make sure that I have access and we can more consistently make requests of them.
Okay.
So we're working through that list and have things prioritized, and it's going very well.
Do any committee members have any questions?
Are you pleased the way it's going?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I know that there's this, I don't have a problem with maintenance. Okay, I know Mr. Mencken is here. That's not the issue. This is bigger than maintenance. This is a deferred maintenance problem, and that's, deferred maintenance should never really be Mr. Mencken's problem because it's
Responsibility.
the antithesis of what a maintenance manager should be doing. It's telling a maintenance manager, no, don't do your job. And so that's why, I brought it to this committee so that there would be someone that can say, okay, we have this problem, we are not going to do it, and it not become a maintenance manager's problem. So that's why this whole process started.
Have we got the leak stopped since it's all this rain's coming in?
I don't know about that. Maybe.
Mr. Mencken is in the back if you want to come up and address this.
That,
Do
go ahead.
you want me
Yes, come on up.
to, the roofers were there last week. This is the first time they've showed up. They were there, I know, on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I checked it this morning, and there was still some moisture there, so they haven't yet, but it's probably going to take them a lot of trial and error under the circumstances.
Well, the weather hadn't been good this winter at all, so.
No,
No,
it's pretty hard on that
no.
freeze-thaw cycle. It's pretty hard on
Yeah.
old roofs especially.
Well, with the age of the building and with a flat roof, and it's probably gonna be a nightmare trying to
Right.
fully,
Pinpoint that leak.
100%,
Yeah.
fix something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. And we moved the stuff out of that room where it's, where it rains, basically, in the room. So we've moved the important stuff out of there, so,
I haven't seen a flat roof yet, but it won't be.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But at least they're working on it.
Oh, my gosh, yes, absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Since we got Mr. Mencken up here, any committee members got any questions of Mr. Mencken?
Ben, give them this. This is sort of preliminary. We're working on what kind of quarterly report we're going to give you guys.
Okay.
And this is sort of a first pass.
Okay.
Can I
No.
excuse myself? Thank you. I'm gonna sit in here.
You didn't want to stay up here with us?
No.
Ben and them have a work order system that's extraordinarily good, and he can extract a lot of information. And this tells you how many work orders we've incurred, how many are still open, how many have been completed, how many hours they had to work on them. It tells you what buildings they've occurred in. So we want you guys just to take this and sort of look at it, and we may make another change or two. We don't know yet, but every quarter we'll give you a report like this, and this is just something to see if it's a good beginning, we think.
I got a question. And I didn't even realize myself, I knew y'all so busy, and I knew y'all had a lot of stuff going on. But basically 26 different, or actually more than 26 buildings.
Well, some of those buildings, for example, the sheriff's office, they really don't oversee that building. That's listed there just because from time to time they do make a visit, but
I
that's,
don't think I've got the sheriff's department.
We don't have the
I don't
sheriff's
believe I
department.
listed on there.
How many buildings do y'all,
no, we're not supposed to have the sheriff on there, but you did have a call down there or something on the other report, that's right.
how many buildings do y'all, or not just you, but how many employees you got?
I've got one guy that just does landscape. That's all he does.
Right.
And then I've got a part-time painter, and then there's 4 maintenance guys. There's 4 other people, and then myself.
And how many buildings do you,
Well, that's what we are looking at right now.
roughly 26, 27, roughly?
Big workload.
33 properties, yeah. That's more than a landscape.
That's, well, no, the 33 properties are,
That's
that's what
just
we
for the
mow.
landscape.
That's just what we landscape. That's the ambulance services and then plus all of our stuff too.
Yeah.
So he stays pretty busy, not right now, and then all of a sudden it'll get so that we don't ever see the guy again, and then, you know, and then in the fall when stuff starts dying, he'll show back up.
So I guess we could take this with us, this report, and mark it up, and hopefully bring it back to the next meeting with any input that you would like. If you like this format, let us know at the next meeting, and we'll pass it along to the mayor that this will be what we're looking for. All right. Any more questions of Mr. Mackin? Also, I guess I need a motion to receive the report from Ms. Boland on the judicial building. I didn't get a motion on that.
On the justice, so moved.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion on it? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye. What about, Mr. Mankin?
I don't think I need a motion on it because we're gonna take it with us, mark it up, and bring back any input you would like or whatnot. And if you like the report at that time, at the next meeting, I guess we'll go ahead and approve that report and pass it on, that this is what we want. And we'll give it to the mayor. But I think if we approve this report now, it may be preliminary, because some commissioners may want to add some more.
Will this go to
Input
the
to us.
commission?
No.
No, it just come to our committee, like a quarterly report that,
Okay.
yeah. Okay,
I just thought he's up here, we ought to make a motion to approve it.
Approve the preliminary report.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Preliminary.
any more discussion on the preliminary report from Mr. Mann? Not, let it be known by the vote of aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Mackin, I guess we'll see you once a quarter.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next on the agenda, discuss fuel tanks at sheriff office.
Oh, this will be a preliminary report too.
Another preliminary report, yeah.
You're gonna have to be up here.
You the sheriff, come on up here. This
Created somewhere else.
Well,
but it's your
And I
property.
got involved in it. Well, it's county
Let's just-
property, it's all our property.
Let's just say this is a preliminary report on fuel tanks, whether it's gonna be at the sheriff's office or another location or with the city of Murfreesboro. So we don't know what the best approach is yet. We've investigated what they've got out there, and I've sent out an official letter to the city of Murfreesboro telling them that we're officially interested in them telling us if they'd be willing to consider us sharing and using their fuel tanks. And we'll see what they say about that. Clearly, if we were to use the sheriff's location, we're gonna have to add some diesel capacity, because he has basically no diesel capacity. He has a little bitty tank, 50 or 60 gallons, and, you know, we're using, and I know at least this much, this may just be EMS, we're using 2,500 gallons of diesel a week. So we need substantial capacity and access. And we'd have to, they're gonna be doing, hopefully, some additions and some renovations, and all of that would come into play with the location where they currently are. So there's a lot of planning and to see how all this would even fit together. So I guess my report is preliminary in that we're still pursuing what the right approach is to having access to fuel by our other departments. He has plenty of capacity for his vehicles, which are basically all gas.
Yeah, we only have like 3 or 4 vehicles that are diesel for the sheriff's office.
So, and everything else we've got as far as EMS and the solid waste is diesel. We do have a small number of gasoline cars running around, but not too many. But anyway, that's the update, and there's really nothing that we can actually suggest yet until we get some feedback from the city and we sort of see where we're going with his project, et cetera.
Okay. City of Murfreesboro, are these the tanks on Main Street?
Well, they got 2 locations, either Main Street or the Florence Road, and it would be good if we had access to both of them, because that would give us a little bit of, on the northern end of the county, it's a little bit closer down there for those vehicles, our ambulance people especially.
Yeah.
So we'll just see how that goes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I want to thank you for working hard on that, so, I know you have been.
Well, we're working on it, not, along with a few other 100 things.
Preliminary to the preliminary.
Preliminary.
Okay, any more discussion on the fuel tanks? If not, I'll entertain a motion to receive this report.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? If not, let me know by aye. Approve. Aye. Any opposes? Okay. Third item on the agenda, preliminary plans for renovation of sheriff's office.
Let me This one I don't think we can really use.
Were our design people coming? I thought David Klein
I
said.
told them,
I thought
they asked, and I told them one time we were gonna be here, and I know they were looking at the brick on the building.
Even today?
Joe told me, yeah.
Well, maybe they'll come on here, but I mean, I thought they were going to be here.
I told them about it, and told them about it
Okay.
next week too, so.
Do you wanna delay it a little? and
Well, I
go
don't
to the
think
next?
no. Well, we might delay it. You might go to the last agenda item, and that would give them maybe 5 more minutes if you want to do that.
Yeah, we'll do
I
that.
think we can,
We can handle it if they don't show up, but.
Okay, let's move on to number 4, request.
Okay.
from Sons of Confederate Veterans. Turn it over to the mayor.
Okay. Pass these out, Mrs. Cook. And I will apologize in advance to Mr. Patterson. I think I told him I would apprise him when we would have this next meeting, and I'm not sure I did, or he would be here. Mr. James Patterson, who is the adjutant of the Murfreesboro Camp Number 33 Sons of Confederate Veterans, I will say that they meet here every month almost with us, and they are going to have coming even to Murfreesboro Embassy Suites next year the national convention of this group. It's going to be, I think, maybe 1,200 people here or something, so they're pretty active in this organization. What they want to do, if you see on that second page, they want to place this historical monument, which will be laying flat on the ground. You can see it's sort of sloped 6 inches in the front and 12 inches at the back. It's a slab of, I don't know what they make it out of. Does it say whether they make it out of marble or something? But it'll be, or granite, 4 feet by 5 feet. And where they want to place it is right over here by this Confederate monument, which is on the northeast corner of the property even now, in what's now sort of basically just a flower bed there, some landscaping. This simply lists all of the particular regiments, et cetera, that men from Rutherford County, they served in all these regiments during the Civil War. And that's their request. They're going to pay for it and completely. I think I told them that we would consider trying to help them put the foundation down, the latest on the piece of concrete, which won't be much, 4 feet by 5 feet. So that's their request. And this group has been very helpful and over many years for the county, and I think it's something we should seriously look at.
They want the dedication April of this year, don't
They are.
Down at the bottom.
Yeah, that's what it does say there. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no other questions on that, no questions on that, I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Done. Will we have to present this to the full commission?
Yes, sir. I think we ought to go ahead and get a resolution to do that. It doesn't need to go to budget, but just send it on.
And we need a resolution to that effect.
Well, you just recommend to the commission that we have a resolution authorizing the placement of that.
Okay.
Ms. Becky can handle that.
Okay, let's move back to,
We got anything on this?
well, I'm gonna bring that up on the other business. Because it's not-
That's about my saving time, I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, we can get started with the preliminary.
Let's let him go ahead and start, because they may have been detained. I know they were wanting to be here.
See, I don't wanna. Yeah, what I've got here is two different plans. One is the expansion plan, and then also we've got a master plan for, let's say, even 30 years down the road for the sheriff's office. Just want to show that to y'all. But
Why don't you give them a master plan, and that'll show how this fits on your master plan, won't it? I believe.
here you go. I'll start down here, let y'all just kind of look at it and then pass it down.
This addition that they're discussing fits onto the north side of that building where the sheriff's office and that administrative area is currently located.
This is a expansion project that I guess the mayor and former Sheriff Truman Jones had started, and there was some things going on with the plans itself and trying to get it tweaked just right, and they were not able to do that at the time. And the mayor, I guess it was around 1st of November, brought it back and said, maybe we need to look at this again. So he brought the guys over, we sat down, we talked. Thankfully, you know, the mayor put this back on our table because we are out of space, literally out of space over there. I've tried to push out every wall. I think even the previous administration tried to push out every wall that they could just to make another inch to fit somebody in. So we are at dire need. I think in the overall, when the sheriff's office was first built, or the last expansion that was built was, I believe, 98. I believe it was around that time. It was set up for a 10-year expansion within 10 years. Well, we're there. We're actually past there. We're past there by quite a few years. And so the mayor brought this to us. We sat down with the company, with Klein, and we moved some things around, and this is kind of what we've come up with. It will work for us now. And I'm going to start this down here. Basically, I'll do this several times. You can see this line right here. If you kind of go directly across, all of this is new space. This is currently what we're in. But this is what we're talking about, new space. And we've added in a video visitation where recently, if you remember, for the ones that came out there, we were pushing out just to make 3 offices, the front porch out there in front of the jail. They're wanting to make that into a video visitation. And we're adding in classrooms for the inmates, and our kitchen. It's built for, if you remember, it was built for the original jail, the old annex. We are now feeding, it was designed to feed about 200 inmates. We are now feeding close to 753 as of today. So, you know, it definitely is, you know, needing expansion itself. So we're just trying to bring this to y'all's attention, show it to y'all.
Yeah,
It's a pleading case.
How much more square foot is the addition?
It is, it's down there at the bottom,
36,000 in it? 33,000.
33,060.
And I don't know if it's showing it on here, but there's an alternate, an addition as far as the Sally Port. They want to,
Yeah, we figure if we're gonna go for it, we might as well go all the
they
way.
want
and
to
ask them.
design the Sally Port. We'd probably bid that as an alternate,
Yeah.
and that's about 5,000 or 6,000 square feet on the Sally Port.
This says 58.
58, okay, so it's on there.
I'm gonna bring the committee up, but I did go out to the sheriff department when the engineers was out there drawing this up, and I think I basically threw out about that Sally Port that we really needed, and we talked about it and the ideals that he have for the future with transporting with buses, that we needed a Sally Port that could handle a bus.
Right now,
We don't have that.
yeah, right now we don't. 2 months ago, we got with the city of Murfreesboro. Right next door, we have the city school system bus depot. We went over there and just asked them, hey, you got anything over here that you might donate to us? Well, they said, we got a big bus and we've got a short bus. Well, they gave us the short bus. It's in a very good working condition. We had it looked over. Our maintenance guys, vehicle maintenance guys said, this is excellent, running. So they gave it to us. We figured out, we sent it up to Shovel for, I think it's about $1,000. We're getting it painted. We're in need of transport vans. We've got 1 transport van down right now, so hopefully this bus is gonna take its place, but yet we can't pull it into the Sally Port. So that was where we're going. You know, eventually we'd like to have a big, full-size, like prison bus that we can use and we can transport when that's later on down the road. But when we get there, we're gonna need to be able to pull into Sally Port and secure the vehicle when we're onloading and offloading inmates. So that was where the thought came from that.
Do I remember correctly that this project was estimated to cost about $8 million?
That's what the mayor kind of, when me and the mayor sat down and talked about it, he kind of told me, he said, you got about $8 million in budget. And so I said, okay. And but with the Sally Port, I think it all comes in around 10.
Well, it's
Right
really,
now, or somewhere around that ballpark is what I was told the other day. You know, I figure, you know, I can ask.
it's about, between the two of them, 8.6 plus the Sally Port at about 370 will be about 9 million.
Is this a project you're hoping to get funding for next year?
Well, yeah, in this, yeah, for this new budget year. And the way that I understood it, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the mayor said we kind of have it somewhere, the money right now, kind of in the litigation fund, the different taxes we have for the inmates, and jail tax and all that, that the money may be sitting there. So this, but he'll correct me if I'm wrong, you know.
Is any of the drug money to be used on this?
No.
Okay.
Then the drug fund, that's another reason why we're at dire need. Right now, we have 2 divisions, our narcotics division and our ICE units that are on the interstate. We are right now renting space outside the sheriff's office because we don't have enough space to put all of our officers under the roof. And our narcotics fund is about depleted. And so it's where we're gonna have to basically come to the county commission and ask for them to kind of take that on if we get to that point. Mayor, the one thing that they asked was, and I told them you would correct me if I was wrong, the $8 million, is it, is it something that we're gonna have to look at, or is it something we have in like the litigation fund and different taxes that we have already saved up? Or?
Let me explain that. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Since so much time has gone on since we've done this, we do collect a litigation tax on what's happening over there. That generates about enough money to support about an $8 million worth of debt. That litigation tax is already been used to pay for debt that we've currently got. In other words, we've built the Correctional Work Center, we built the Juvenile Detention Center. Part of that money, which we spent $23 million. So what we're collecting is a small portion to support a piece of that little debt out there. This is, we're going to have to borrow the money on this. We do have, I'll get to this a bit later. We will have to borrow the money, and Lisa, Mr. Baum is on the budget committee. She had several scenarios that included just the school, just the high school. Then she also had the road that we're committed to. Then we had what we have here proposed. She had half of that in each of 2 years. She had all kinds of combinations there of what we can support and what it will do to our debt service reserves, you might say, and how that we've got enough dollars to support these things, but it puts us from 1 to 3 years into a position of putting our debt service reserve down to about 65% of an annual year's worth of principal and interest. So that's something we have to consider and look at. But we have about in the bank, quote, in this fund is about $2 million there that's available to be used for various purposes. The design of this, and let's see, was the design in this price? I'm not sure if that was in his total estimate or not. Just a moment. I don't think the design is in this piece. So what I sort of thought might be reasonable is out of that $2 million, pay for the design cost of this project, which would be something 400,000 plus. And then possibly use part of that $2 million for, this is just the building. We're going to have to equip the building. We're going to have to furnish the building. I mean, the stuff they've got, you know, the furniture, et cetera. So we might could not have to borrow the money for some of those FF&E, you might say. So come on up, Mr. Klein.
Apologize.
Does this include the new dispatch and the new?
There's enough
Yes,
capacity there.
there is the new dispatch right here in the center. What we're proposing, I believe, is 15 new dispatch or a total right now we have, what, 6? And it would be a total of 15 in here that we can grow into. Or if we do the merger, whatever happens, we've got space to either grow or accommodate a merger of dispatch.
And back on the dollars we currently have, and there are some difficulties we are experiencing out there with the brick on the jail tower, and it's going to cost us a fair amount of money. We don't really know how much yet, and I'd be remiss if I guessed, but it could be in a few $100,000, and we'll need some cash from somewhere to do that. So we may use that out of that fund as well, but that's urgent. And we're working on it even as we speak every day. So we probably really should think that we've got enough dollars likely to handle the design and the remedial work on this brick, and maybe even some of the furnishings and fixtures contained there in that account. But for the actual construction itself, which could be as much as $9 million, we think Mr. Klein has overstated that, hopefully, by some amount of money. He did use some contingency figures that we'll give him credit for doing that. We hope that it wouldn't exceed these numbers possibly.
I don't think so at all.
And so we need it. You guys can, if you think this is something we should move forward, you can put it in with the other group of things that are being discussed. And in two kinds of pieces. You can recommend to the budget committee that we fund the design and then actually fund the construction and let them put that into their mix of discovery on what they're trying to do as far as fund all of these things that are happening.
Without raising taxes.
without raising taxes.
I believe one of Ms. Nolan's most recent budget scenarios indicated that $8 million more might require a tax increase, at least if it were funded in this
It would-
next.
What it would do, it would, if you don't allow the reduction of the so-called debt service requirement to drop below 65%, if you choose to do that, then you'd be negative 3 years if you put $8 million more on it. Now, that would, we still, I mean, there's a lot of money that we're talking about, 35 or $40 million that we got in this reserve fund. But in any event, it would reduce it below 65% of 1 year's requirement, which would have some potential for maybe impacting the rating if and when we go back to the market. So it may or might not. You know, there's no guarantee one way or the other.
We wouldn't be penalized by the state. But
No, there'd be no penalty. We wouldn't lose any dollars, but it would just shrink you down below that 65%. And that 65% is a little bit fluid. It's a pretty little complicated formula, and that's just a number she sort of come up with as a reasonable number. And it might be that you really should have used 70, or maybe you could have used 60. So I'm telling you, there's a little bit of fluid movement in that number.
Let me throw one more thing out, just knowing what the Budget Committee has been considering. There's also this Eagleville project. Both phases combined are also ironically about $8 or $9 million.
Yes, sir.
I know some folks on the Budget Committee are considering that project. This might be sort of a competing project. It might be a situation where you could do one or the other without a tax increase, or maybe neither one without a tax increase. But I know some people on the Budget Committee are going to be possibly
Jockeying for positions.
so you'd want to make the case that this is somehow more important than the Eagleville
Well,
School.
Yes, and I think we can make that case for the simple fact of we were probably supposed to expand 10 years ago and we did not, probably due to budgets and stuff back then. Now we are 10 years out from where that expansion was supposed to be. Basically, the sheriff's office is designed to expand about every 10 years.
The reason why I asked that dispatch question is, I know there's money in that 911 fund. I didn't know if that could be used at all to help fund just for the dispatch or the equipment to lower the cost, or.
Well, I think they're going to get assistance from 911 for their dispatch equipment, even now, whether we do this or not. They're going to get some assistance, and so we won't have to fully do that, I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
Yes,
well, that's what I was, maybe if we could lower the cost just for
They
that.
won't help with the bricks and mortar or
Okay.
the furniture. They only help with the electronic components of that.
But luckily, we're talking about competing for positions in the budget and stuff like that. We can kind of pay for ourselves through our inmates and stuff like that being booked into the jail and litigation taxes that are done to criminals. So we can pay for ourselves, where the school system, it all comes out of all of our pockets. So that's one way we could justify doing ours.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? We got
We need it.
the engineer up here now.
Yeah.
I apologize, I somehow had 6 o'clock now. Sorry.
We used to meet at 6.
Oh, did you? Well, I was outside talking. I truly apologize, I was plugged in 6.
Did you say this is about a 36,000 square foot addition?
Yes, sir.
What is the, what's the current,
But that's just the new part now.
The new
Yeah,
part.
You've got renovation in a substantial part of the old building too, very substantial renovation.
Yeah, we're gonna end up going in, and right now, the way this is, and I've got another map up there and can show you what the building layout is now. But this right here is the current building, and we're basically going in and gutting it and relaying it out so that it all flows with this new building and giving us space.
We're renovating about 27,000 square foot for the existing.
And one thing too, right now with the indoor rec of the jail, turning it into basically a little hospital within the jail. Right now the old female part of the jail is currently the doctor area, but they're tight on space too, with all the things that they have going on with sick inmates and stuff like that. So we've kind of turned this into a little mini hospital.
No, on correctional facilities and stuff like that, the cost per square foot, it usually runs a little bit higher than the normal building being built. What's the cost per square foot on this?
Gee, I haven't broken it down that way.
$142.
$742.
Yeah, the renovation, the new's probably more in the 180 and the renovation more in the 120, but there's roughly 37 to 40% of the cost is renovation cost. And one advantage to putting the addition onto the existing building is, as y'all know, when the tower was built, originally was designed for 15 floors, they actually bid 11 floors and only built 9. Subsequently, the chillers, the boilers, the electrical service and all that was sized for a much bigger building. And our engineers took a look at it, and we're basically going to use that system for the expansion. So that's helped save a few dollars there. And those are kind of big ticket items. The only thing they did recommend is adding a smaller chiller, so that right now you've got 2 very large chillers, and really only in August one kicks in, if we understand. And it's very inefficient when you're running a 200-ton and then you're using 40 tons off your second 200 tons. So in the budget, we've got like a 40 or 60 tons so that you get more diversification and a little more economy in operation.
So that should cut down on their heat and air bills.
Probably.
Okay, I know earlier the sheriff had indicated that the kitchen was built for inmates around 250. I remember the meeting, commissioner meeting, we were talking about schools and core. So the kitchen is like the core to the sheriff department, and its capacity is 250, and right now you're feeding how many out
About
there?
750-ish.
I don't know how long we're gonna be able to continue that, you know, as we grow.
There's no adding portables to the sheriff's department.
No, I've actually tried to look for office space doing that. I did call the school system yesterday.
Ask for some
Let me ask a question. On correctional facilities, there's a certification
Right.
process that has to go through the state.
Right.
Is any of this stuff here that's not, that could cause us to not get recertified or anything like that? Is there anything in there?
No, quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Your food service,
You're talking about currently, are we?
Currently,
you're
anything
certified for
that
900.
No, because what we're doing is we're actually making a bigger kitchen. So if we were going to do anything, we'd come way in.
Well, I know, but I guess what I'm trying to get at, and I'm sorry if I didn't,
Once the state catches on to it.
yeah. With the facility we got now, with the core of the cafeteria is for 200 inmates, and we're sitting here with 750. By keeping that at that core at 200 inmates, is it going to cause us not to get recertified? Have a problem?
No. Because right now, we're getting the job done.
They're getting the job done a lot with a little.
And I don't
Right.
know of any guideline by TCI that dictates
That
the
mandates the
size
size
of
of
food
the
service
kitchen.
supply.
I know there's some guidelines, I don't know what they are.
As long as we can get the job done, that's the big thing. That's all, if it
Right.
takes us 4 hours to feed one meal, then it takes us 4 hours. Because we only have one stove. I mean, we
Right.
don't, but just saying, if we just had one regular kitchen stove and we're trying to feed 700 people, it's gonna take us a while. But as long as we get the job done and the food meets the criteria of a certain temperature and all that.
Doesn't matter when the
Yeah.
prisoners eat, they can have
Yeah.
lunch at 10 o'clock.
Well, there
Yeah.
may be a time.
But no, there's always, the only thing is, it
But,
states that I think it has to be, the only requirement is 2 meals a day, 2,400 calories, and it has to be 2 meals about 11 hours apart.
I know
Requirements.
I know this is a little offbeat. Is there a state requirement on the litigation tax? I mean, as far as there's no way of raising what they do per day for holding an inmate, or is it capped?
It's capped. I mean,
Okay.
we're collecting the maximum allowed.
Yeah, I went over and saw Laura today and got a copy of the resolution.
I should point out to you that there's a little bit of question here. It's specifically, if you read the language, it says it's to be used for jail construction or renovation, or courthouse construction or renovation. So some of this area in here, even though it's supporting the jail, et cetera, there's a little bit of a gray area there, but the litigation tax is already being fully used. There's no more of it available. So we have to get this out of an additional new source of revenue.
Okay.
One of your rooms was a video conferencing room for the prisoners?
No, there's a inmate classroom back here. And then, of course, we're expanding the laundry. Right now, we only have 2 washers and 2 dryers.
Video arraignment.
What's the video arraignment?
Yes.
Video arraignment.
Yes.
Basically, that's for visitation for inmates instead of going up in the tower and looking at them face to face. We do a video arraignment like they're doing over at the workhouse. But also with this video arraignment that we're wanting to do, several of the judges over here have it to where you can do video arraignment through their courtroom. So that would actually, eventually, if we could get all this going and going in the right direction, it cuts down on our transport. We can, and that cuts down on security of transporting an inmate back and forth, potential of escape or family members trying to get to this person or say somebody, a victim, trying to get to that person. They're still up in the jail and they do all their courtroom through video.
It reduces liability.
Yes, it reduces our liability.
Saves money in the long run.
Save money on transportation.
Yes.
Yeah, part of the project.
And security too, I mean, they don't
is-
have to be transported to the judicial building and intermingle with all the other.
Right now, we
Violence.
walk inmates right down the middle of the hallway with, regular civilians walking up and down the hallway, so.
Every inmate floor now has, but with this plan, has their own video visitation arraignment room. They can take them directly from the pod into that room. They can do their business, whether it's visitation, whether it's with the courts. We've been putting these in for 10, 11 years. We've even had a situation where the attorneys liked it so well, they kicked in, they could have direct contact with their clients from their office, so they can do interviews and that sort of thing. They don't have to come down to the jail, wait for the inmate to be made available, get caught up in a lockdown or some issue going on. So it saves for everybody. It's really the way to go with these systems. And we've been in court facilities where they do a tremendous amount of their business through the video process.
And one thing also too, we did add here is that one hearing room. It's just a hearing room. It's not a courtroom, but it's a hearing room. So maybe they can come over and take care of some stuff there. So there again, we cut down on transportation.
Any more questions on the design?
What we've done heretofore, we had some money in the capital projects that we moved around, and we put enough money in there to take care of the brick remediation. We put about $25,000 over there. We already had that flexibility. We put about enough additional money in there, about $50,000 more, to actually get us to this point. So we had enough flexible funds to use to get us to where we are now. And that's sort of completed. So now to move forward, though, we don't have any dollars to really spend on actually completely designing this and creating working drawings and moving forward if you actually want to build it.
Well, we know at some point in the future that there's gonna have to be an expansion out there.
Gotta do it.
We know, so if we do if we spend the $300,000 or $400,000 on design, we know that we're gonna be using it. It's not like it's gonna be going away. And that way, we can find out a better cost. Go out for bid on it and find out a better cost of how much it would actually cost us in today's market. And that will help the budget committee be able to prioritize a little bit better in the mix of things. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we look at the design of this facility.
Funding the design of it.
Right.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
So the design funding is coming from a source that we've already got in that litigation tax, is that correct?
That's the source that we hope that we can use, yes.
Is that in your motion, or is your motion to look at funding?
Well, I would let the budget committee look at
Yeah,
the
probably
funding
need to leave it
mechanism.
open.
Yeah, leave that a little bit flexible so Lisa and the budget committee can decide the best source of that, okay?
So your motion is to look at funding the design.
Right.
I will throw this out here too, gentlemen, and ladies, that right now we have a couple positions within our budget that we are not filling due to the fact, If I put them out there, I'm gonna put them in the hallway. Or I'm gonna have to shut down one of the lobbies to give them an area. That's how critical we are. We've rented space elsewhere, and, you know, just throw that out there. We've decided not to hire a couple of positions due to the fact of, and they are management positions that would need their own office.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I had an email right here of a constituent that was wanting to know, you know, why we couldn't lease office space instead of building $8 million. We're already doing it.
Yeah, we're already leasing.
We're already leasing space, and
right now it's being paid for out of, we are leasing space right now, it's being paid for out of the drug fund. But the drug fund is about depleted.
Right.
And we can't go, the county's eventually gonna have to pick that tab up. We'll get it supportable.
From an operational and functional viewpoint, I'm not an expert on this, of course, these people need to be in close proximity to what's happening there with their whole organization. They're so integrated together. There may be a few of the departments he could put off-site, but it's just a lot more cohesive, functional, and efficient operation if they're there together.
Yeah, everybody's around, you know, because there are times where we'll go down the hallway and just, you know, see one division, and we know we're going to do it like a drug bust. We need some extra bodies, go kick in a door. Hey, you. Get on over there and get ready. You know, but if they're halfway across town or something, you got to call them up. Hey, we need to get across town. We need to do this. We need to do that. If everyone's under one roof, then it's a lot easier for us to function. That's kind of the way we work in our divisions.
And I'll vouch for him. I went over to the sheriff's department because I wanted to see some stuff that you couldn't see in the public tour that we all took. And the sheriff took me and showed me some areas of the actual jail and the facility there, where they store the drugs and weapons and the evidence. You can't. There's no room over there. I mean, it's something's going to have to be done. Like I said, whether it's this year, next year, so on. And it's not a Robert Arnold or a Truman Jones. This was both of them. I mean, it was in the plans for both of them. I mean, it needs to get done. Like I said, whether it's this year, next year, or sometime, we're going to have to do something with it. So,
Well,
I encourage you to take your own tour if you don't believe me.
Yeah, come. I'll take you into the secret areas and show you the overcrowdingness of, you know, we have guns that are just almost stacking on each other, where the gun vault is overflowing. The drugs, same thing. Try to destroy them as fast as possible.
There's no reasonable way, I shouldn't really say this, for them to really know where their evidence is stored. If Philip Martin left, they would never be able to find the evidence.
right.
Oh, yeah.
He's got one of the most secure jobs down there, because he's the only one that knows the layout of his evidence room.
It is stacked. You cannot actually walk. At least the last time I was there, you could not walk in the evidence room. I mean, you got to really tiptoe around there even to get through it.
The little CSI corner isn't as big as one of these tables for where they look at cases. So.
Okay. Any more discussion on the motion? If not, we would require a roll call on this one.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Coggin?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes. Okay. Anything else you'd like to bring up to us?
I think that's it right now. Get a chance. We had another little issue that popped up this last cold snap, and with our tile in the visitation lobby, and we tiles were popping up left and right, and so we had to retile it. So please come over and take a look at that, because the new tile looks fantastic. So get a chance, come over and look at that.
I don't know, I hadn't really thought through this, Mr. Chairman, but I don't know what authority we need to actually take, we need to move expeditiously with this brick remediation business.
Yeah.
And I guess it's sort of an emergency situation, and I guess we have the power and authority, but I'd like to tell you that we are likely going to need somewhere between $100,000 and $500,000 to correct this problem, and it might be wise just, I guess we're informing you that we're going to do it, and we're going to take whatever action we need to, and we may have to inform you after we tell you what we're going to do. but it's something that's out of our control, but we must be allowed to
It's an
do it.
emergency situation, right?
And let me say this, that the structure, the jail itself is fine.
Oh,
It's
it's
a concrete building, the brick is just a fascia on it. So the jail itself is built like a bunker. Probably about 12 inches thick of concrete, would you say, if
Yeah.
not more? But probably about 12 years ago when they bricked it, they may not have done the best job possible.
Well, we're not sure what
We're not-
caused this.
yeah, we're
It
not
could be
sure.
weather-related, potentially, and we will know eventually. The engineers say they may tell us, but all we have to do now is deal with it, and as we deal with it, we will maybe have some better idea of what actually the source of the problem was, but we're going to have to correct this.
So never will any inmates be at risk or the public in general be in risk of anybody even escaping or anything like that because the jail itself is
It's
fine.
secure.
It's secure.
The only risk would be if one of those bricks were to fall and hit somebody.
Correct. That's why right now we've got a little awning built, can walk in and out, and we are going to have to, I just found out yesterday, at the loading dock in the back, we are going to have to do the same thing. We're going to have to build an awning in case somebody's back there around the building. And so.
Okay.
This wind may blow them off.
Don't say that.
I don't need,
It sure is.
it's been a long day. I hope not a long night.
Any more discussion? Any more questions for the sheriff?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank y'all, gentlemen.
Okay, under any other business? I think Lisa gave each one of us general capital project reports, and it's just for our information only. Go over it, and I will accept the motion to receive this report.
I believe the report last go-round is, there are actually no changes
Right.
this month from last month.
So,
Got a motion and a second?
I got a question.
Okay.
Mayor, do you happen to know on the volunteer fire department on Barfield Road when they may start?
Well, we're not quite through, we're getting near to completion with the actual drawings and engineering, and we'll have to take bids then. So, I mean, I think probably in the next few weeks, we're gonna have the documents ready where they can take bids.
The reason I asked that question, I mean, there was a fire out there in one of the subdivisions, and some of my constituents were asking.
We should start construction in a couple of months, probably, or less.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions on the report?
Speaking of, oh, well, go ahead, no.
This is on the report. Okay, all those in favor of receiving this report, Lisa, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Motion passed. Okay.
I've got some new business. I would like to name that building in honor of Joe McCluskey, the county fire station there on Barfield Road. He was a resident there at Barfield Road. And he was also the civil defense director, which started the fire department back in the 60s for the county fire service. He is the kind of the origin of where that department started from, and I think it'd be good to name that building in his honor for somebody that was a resident of that community, lived on that road, and actually started the fire, or was the director. He didn't start it, but was the director of that department. So I don't know if we could do that, or if this committee does that or not.
I never known this committee to name buildings, but.
Well, there's some other county buildings that got named.
Yeah, but that was presented to the full board of commissioners.
Okay.
It didn't come out of a committee recommendation unless it came through steering committee.
Okay.
We can pass it along to steering that you want steering to look into this maybe. And then, because see, you got a name and it may be several more commissioners got a name and whatnot, but if it's all past the steering committee, Gary, they normally handle it and bring it before the full commission. Am I right, Gary?
I think that's correct. I think that's how we handled it when we did the steering committee did the judicial building over here.
Right, and bridges and all. So I think you can make that recommendation directly to the steering committee.
Why don't we, since there may be others with some suggestion, why don't we somehow take a little bit of time just to sort of study this in some serious detail to see what, I don't know what we've done here before. This is something all new to me. Have we actually named a building?
We haven't in the last 5 years.
The judicial building was named after Judge Buckner and.
Where is that? It's not on the exterior of the building.
It's a little thing,
Plaque.
plaque on the exterior of the building.
It is?
Stegall,
Okay.
Welcome, yeah.
I know the health department, we did put a little plaque over there that has Dr., well, I can't think of the doctor's name, the seatbelt, Sanders.
Dr.
Dr. Sanders' name is on that building over there with a little bronze plaque.
I don't know if we named the judicial building after them, but their names are on.
The plaque is on the judicial
Changed
building.
the name, I thought.
No, I thought it was
It's a
still,
judicial building.
it's
but
still
I think
Rutherford
there's a
County
plaque.
There's
Judicial.
a plaque on there honoring those three judges.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which, I mean, Joe McCluskey, the family is, I mean, part, that being my commissioner district out there, but that family is part of that community out there, and Joe McCluskey was a fine person, like the rest of the family, and, you know, but, I mean, we need to do it like we do all the others,
Right.
you know, process.
Well, maybe you could give all of you an opportunity to think about this, and next time, if y'all had a little bit of discussion, we can give some feedback and maybe make it official.
And I'm new to this, so I don't know how the process goes.
We're all new to this because we haven't done this before, at least in my tenure.
You know, that's a good idea. We can just bring back our information in the next meeting and,
Give us all a little time to do some
Right.
homework.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about naming buildings, I mean, there's been people's names on
the
honoring
building.
them. You know,
But everything we named, it basically went through Stern and then
Yeah.
to the full commission, so I think we probably will need to follow the same route, you know, not just take it to the full commission, just take it to Stern, because, like I say, it may be some more information from other, it might be a recommendation coming from public safety,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, and that would probably be good at public safety to discuss this.
Right, so we can,
Didn't the Bar Association make that recommendation?
I believe they did.
Judicial building, so you may want a recommendation from that department.
From our fire departments or
Right.
something, our chiefs association, whatever, I don't know.
right,
Yeah.
and that could go to Stern, so. Any more new business? Any other business? Not, I entertain a motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Okay, thank you.